is a small sample size. TSM have not dropped an attacking round over the last 3 games. They played 6 rounds on attack over those final 3 games prior to now. Well, guess what? They're going to get 6 rounds on attack to start things off with. Operator bans coming in. Nook is pretty standard stuff, but Buck to go as well, who will join on defense. Azami?
It's the Merc target ban. I mean, Merc really plays Vigil quite frequently on Bank. It's a very big
our monitors
map.
keep turning off.
And when he does it, it's commonly a problem for the attack inside. So
Literally,
a nice target ban for Spacestation. Of course, the Buck, also very versatile operator. They can bring the secondary Heartbreach as well as the Gun 6. And Valkyrie to boot along, deny that information game for the defenders.
All right. That leaves Azami up. The way that teams like to trot out the Azami on a map like Bank. Let's look at the top floor and move downwards. Azami will likely have a very high amount of prominence, though TSM not bringing her immediately. You want to set up those Kiba barriers on the top floor, defend aggressively inside of that CEO office, maybe extend outwards, and then just bunker down. Waste as much time as you can. On the main floor, if you see an open area defense, you're going to want to do something similar, but you're actually going to defend that site itself. Additionally, if it is open area, you can employ that same setup with the Kiba barriers up top. We only talk about Azami because she is one of the newer operators and is picked substantially more than the other new ops that have been brought into play. Sens might see some play here, though we don't know if they'll be used on that basement take. That's where teams seem to trot them out. Grim will likely not be seen.
No.
Let's, have you ever looked at his pick rate? It's Grim.
Yeah, okay. Sure. It is Grim. I believe it's been played once, maybe LATAM, once, maybe APAC, but we have not seen it in NAL that I can recall at least.
I think we saw Grim in EUL. For 1 round.
We might have seen it for a single round, but I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have not seen it in NAL, right? I really don't believe we have. I feel like I would remember.
Not that my stats would suggest. Very first defense for TSM is going to happen in the basement. Lineup from SSG bringing tons of tools, and this is a very standard setup now that Finka is not as prominent as she used to be. An early push in from square stairs, and Bolo now on the flank takes out Fultz and has another to do some damage, or at least a missed opportunity onto the Sledge, who doesn't seem to know that Bolo is still there. What is going on, Rampy? You got the call, but you don't seem to be any bit the wiser. Etricel goes off. There's a minute burned off the clock, and already early action, but TSM coming out ahead, in large part because of those proximity scanners, as well as the Yokai drone.
I love the use of Yokais, the pulse in the room as well. The information game for TSM right now, they're just going to have so much knowledge as to where SSG will be attacking from. And with the clock burning down and getting the opening kill, they've basically already gotten all the value that they seek with this setup.
Oh, and there's more scouting. No! Space Station. Nobody is watching right now on this flank, and they're just feasting on them. SSG being punished across the board. Yeti, the star performer that we've talked about time and time again in a 1v5 with half of the round to go. I mean, you've got a good gun in your hands, but TSM, they got to know. He might just take a timeout here. It looks like that might be the a nice shot achieved. He baits him out, but gets killed at the very final second. TSM taking round number 1.
That's beautiful. I mean, that round right there, if I were to like, what does that round remind me of? I want to say Rogue in the EUL/Rogue at the Berlin Major, because playing aggressively off the Yokais on the doorway to Janitors, as we saw Merc him here with the flank, Bolo earlier as well up the square stairs, a classic situation. And the thing about Bank and attacking it that's so difficult is that you saw it right there. You walk in square and you're looking towards that Janitor hallway. Well, there's a staircase right behind you, a flank is open. The main stairs, the lobby stairs, there are so many different avenues for defenders to utilize and flank you. Normally, defenders will not play that aggressively because they do not have the information to make that decision. But with the Yokai and with the pulse on the board that we saw in that round, they have that information available to them, even though Valkyrie is banned. So it's a decision. Whenever you see these kinds of intel operators, players can go for those aggressive plays with confidence. Now TSM, they're changing things up, right? Now we're playing a more structured setup. We're playing deployable shields, playing the Midas, playing the castle as well to deny lines of sight. Gasher on the Maestro, bulletproof cameras that can deny and grant your team information as well. changing the pace here. I'm sure TSM will still swing and play aggressive, so to speak, but this is more about SSG coming to them and now problem solving, more so than TSM trying to disrupt the roam clear like we saw in that previous round.
A single bullet from Yeti is what separated a flawless round, for the record.
Yeah.
Look at the cojones on Merc to castle off the double door, leading to ATMs exactly where Yeti was situated. A second too late. Yeti could have potentially capitalized off of that. Rampy cut down as he tries to rappel up the side wall. And now it's Yeti sustaining some damage. TSM bringing the fire to Space Station, and it will continue to get bad for that Space Station squad. As now they've lost Bosco to Bolo. There's over 2 minutes left. The pace that's being set from TSM. Excellent.
Yeah. And because Merc has barricaded both of those ATM doors, well, it was Yeti on the Dokkaebi, can't really do anything about those barricades, so he's forced to rotate off that entire area, as well as Merc getting a kill from lobby onto Sierra Pell. That means the entire push from Space Station now has shifted towards the square side of the map, the other half. But what are they going to do? You know, TSM, they have members in crucial positions, janitor hallways, stock wall, etc. They have their fortified positions, and SSG, they're scrambling around right now trying to figure out where they can find an opening, where they can find a pick. As long as TSM doesn't just run into their lines of sight, they're in such a stable position, there's almost no way for them to get pulled out of this position right now in the 3 versus 5.
Engagement from Hot and Cold, mag dumping as best as he can. Unable to sustain anything right now as Achieved will fire back. Again, Achieved's stats are not the greatest, so if he can stab out on his very final Playday, that would be excellent for him. Just for personal pride, I suppose. Hot and Cold in this very fabled spot of Archives, where he'd made some noise previously, shown in that clip earlier today during the pre-show of the Tokoname finals. Can creep on up. Gasher engaging, but Yeti gets one. That's the second kill for Space Station. Achieved lets him slip by.
Oh.
Right now, just under his nose. And pops up, but Achieved actually can't see him because of the debris. Bolo goes down now too, and Achieved still holding this same angle. Is his line of sight being obscured by the casing? That's the real question.
So 3v3 with 40 seconds to go, and Yeti in such an aggressive position, but TSM, they have no idea he's so deep in towards the bomb site already.
I can't believe how close Yeti is to Achieved. Fultz getting the plan down. Achieved pops back up.
Oh.
No coverage. Look at this.
I see him.
Fultz off of the diffuser. What is happening here? 30 seconds to go. Everybody's posted up, but they're waiting for the flank, and it's going to come in from Snake up top. Square stairs. Engaging. Wins the gunfight against Hot and Cold. Achieved was primed and ready to pick up on it. It's going to be Yeti to clutch. Fultz will continue to crawl to give information. I don't know if they are aware of Yeti's position in this corner, but there they go. They jiggle around it. Just too many bodies. 2 for Achieved in the final moments. And Space Station just waited a bit too long. Wore out their welcome. And the welcome from TSM, not the one they were looking for. 2-0.
It's a nice opening that was found from Yeti to open up the round for them, but after that point forward, you're still in that 3 versus 4 position and things are dire. It's hard to get down the diffuser, and the post plant even more so is very difficult to win. Your flanks are opened up. When Snake successfully got that kill here on bottom squares, that's essentially where the round is over for SSG. It's have fighting now on both sides and fighting against...
Like the constant chatter online about the Lycan timeout.
The Lycan timeout, yes.
The Lycan timeout. Yes.
Yep, I would kind of wish... sometimes, you know, with of course the permission of the players and the coaches, that we could get a little bit of an insight into what might be happening during these tactical timeouts, because I know fans, and ourselves even as talent members, we always wonder what exactly is being shared, because every single team will go about it differently. Every single coach or member of the team behind the players will go about it differently, right? What the angle is to the timeout, what you're going to be saying, or what the expected outcome really is. Because it can be mental, it can be strategical, it can be a vibe or a mood thing, it can be to stop people from arguing or to start some conversations about what's going on, boys.
You and I in particular like to speculate as to what we think the purpose of that timeout is, because I mean, you've actually sat in pro matches and had a timeout. I never have, obviously, so I am completely ignorant to it.
I mean, we should just fight, and then Shaz is like, stop fighting, boys. Get back in the game. We're like, sorry, Shaz. Sorry, Dad. And then
fighting
we go
a team
again.
with Fabian on it? How strange.
How strange is that? Yeah, I don't know.
Never would have expected that. Either way. It's the slowest round that we've seen so far. 30 seconds and nobody's died. I guess that's a first.
Oh my god, Merc.
Merc's doing it again.
He's just barricading the door. They just open up that door as well. Just forcing out utility pieces here.
The stones on this man.
I mean, that is what Merc is known for. Merc wants 100% of what he can take every single time, and sometimes it's his downfall, but also sometimes he just gets away with it. He makes those high-risk, high-reward plays constantly.
The logic bomb to go off. Merc 3 kills, looking for more onto the window by Printer. Misses an opportunity. Space Station will get away for free. Yeti entering downstairs, waiting for the EE1D, and a default cam could spot him. He's got a barricade to get through as well if he wants to head towards the bomb site. It's Teller's Archives, in case you're curious. The blitz on the board, coupled with a Lion and a Dokkaebi, could be potentially devastating. You'll get overrun as a defender, either pinned in position or put in a spot where the blitz will just run you down. This is a bit of an interesting hold by Merc, still killing as much time down there as is humanly possible. It's a smoke that goes off to obscure from the top, and, well, the proximity alarm is there. First pick for Space Station. That's the first time they've been able to accomplish it so far in this matchup. They've gotten rid of, achieved. Still 4 players from TSM remain.
I'm not entirely sure what Space Station's plan is with this blitz, but Honey was just running on the entire map looking for something, doesn't find it. That's back to her 4v4, but a nice trade from Space Station as Yeti's able to pick up the pieces.
Oh, and he might actually be able to get something as he rotates around. Do you hear the shield just recharge?
Yeah, it recharged.
Even though Hot and Cold is dead? It's good to know that if somebody were to pick it up, not unlike Captain America's shield or Thor's hammer, I suppose, finding a new master, they might be able to do some work, but no. Can't swap out your weaponry from a dead ally.
Not yet.
Final 40 seconds to go. TSM trailing in numbers. Space Station got the very first pick of the round. It's the first time they've done so. They have to translate that to this Teller's Archives bomb site. It's a nice shot from Bolo to chunk away at Bosco, but Bosco has the better angle and can march forward towards the bomb site. Final logic bomb goes out. Gasher under pressure on the stairs with Alda in hand. Swings around, but he can't outduel Yeti. 3 kills for him. Merc, the last one to hold down the fort. He might be able to beat Yeti. Nope, nobody's beating Yeti this round. A 4K for Yeti. TSM, well, their streak ends as SSG gets on the board with their first round.
There's not many people that can beat Yeti in general right now in the NAL. He is winning so many gunfights and so many rounds for his team. I remember those last Playday when SSG played Bang, Yeti just dropped the main Scala with a Lion charge and like a finger stim and just killed like 3 or 4 people as well. He's finding so many good opportunities for himself and just winning them outright. Almost way too consistently. And it's nice to see because when Yeti played on Soniqs, the playstyle and position that he was playing in was like way different. He would often be like the flank lurker on the attacking side. If there's 4 members of his team going on one angle, he would go and hit the back instead, and normally find a kill or 2 for his trouble's worth. But for Space Station, we're actually finding Yeti being almost the entry player for his team, having those early gunfights, and at the very least, if he's not doing the entry work, he'll be catching a rotation somewhere else on the map, and then once he gets inside the building, that's when he starts being the entry / second entry. And we saw it in that round. Hot and Cold stormed in with Blitz. He got shut down by Snake, but then Yeti is right behind him for that trade to even the numbers for a 1-for-1 instead of a 1-for-0. So it's really good value and consistency people from Yeti from this Space Station squad. He's done great work for them so far, even in this matchup right now. 7 kills to his name. The second highest is going to be Bosco and Falls tied with 1 each. So there is definitely a kill leader on the squad. Third round, we are going to be going back to the basement.
It's the Yeti show today. That previous round, he entered through Garage and then was stuck at the bottom of main stairs with, if you recall, that barricade that prevented him from going up farther, or at least without announcing his presence. And yet still, I'm amazed by how Yeti was all over the map at every single moment. When there was a bit of interaction for Space Station, Yeti was involved. And look where he's going yet again, taking the head off of Gasher inside of Garage. And there's a phone for him to pick up as well. TSM losing their single player that was watching that avenue into the bomb site.
Look at the timing though. Essentially, SSG started applying pressure to the roaming. They waited for the yokai drone. IQ found the yokai drone. Immediately after that, Yeti applies pressure in Garage, expecting that to be where Echo's going to be playing. Almost a bait and switch, if you will. And even if Yeti didn't get the kill, well, they got the roam presence. With this yokai falling early, the bomb site is now weakened. The roamers have to somewhat fall back, but a little bit more safe. And you're losing crucial information while Yeti's applying all this pressure from the Garage. So now TSM, they gotta lash out and get aggressive, and if Merc does not win this gunfight, the round will be so much harder.
Yet he's still down here, still wasting time. SSG have not surrendered a single player just yet, but Rampy's in the middle of the bomb site. Unable to outduel Snake. A beautiful shot from him to get both, but Yeti has the backup yet again. Yeti is everywhere all at once. Both losses from TSM coming at the hands of Yeti, but he will be no more as Merc wins the engagement, and Yeti's 3-piece is denied. Bosco's in the bomb site, but they have to be wary. Is there a yokai drone in play? There's no echo, so he can't control it, but could still be watching them. It's a very exposed spot for Bosco to be in. You need hot and cold to cover. Merc's watching the doorway. There goes a flash in. Bosco might be able to get this down. Bolo and Merc both in similar position, but look at where Merc is posted up. He slaughters Bosco. Hot and cold looking for his first kill. Gonna get it? No. Well, yes, actually, never mind. He does. He gets a cheat before he gets traded out. Merc has the final say. In that round, TSM goes up 3-1.
Yeah, looking good for them, and I mean, Spacestation had the opening, and then they went for this quick play, you know, storming into the A bomb side. It was just Rampy with no real backup to be had for the trade, but Snake hit a disgusting second shot from the bomb side right here, the one-tap basically, the goodbye fadeaway towards Fultz instead of servers. That really stopped SSG's initial push, and when you don't have two members alive, a plan cannot really be established because there are more than one angle to cover. You're basically gambling at that point that TSM will belong to the round, but they don't.
Oh, you can't gamble. It's banned on Twitch now.
Only some things, actually.
Oh, okay. You don't need to take
Not
it. Don't take it at face value.
Sure, sure. You know, in Nordic countries, you can't even gamble with the points. You know, the polls? We can't. So we can't even gamble with the virtual currency either. Feels bad, man.
Who cares?
I would argue that almost every single Twitch viewer who would like to participate in polls and gain those sweet, juicy channel points would disagree. You know, in your chat, can you not redeem them for funny things? In your stream? Redeem channel points for a fun thing? That's what they're for.
I have been enjoying the finer things in life, aka not being shackled to my computer. So I haven't streamed in like 2 months, but
okay.
No, I don't actually think I use my channel points for anything. I jokingly refer to them as paying union dues because, of course, we unionize my chat. This is going to be a quick one, by the way. 20 seconds off the board. There's an Amaru in play. There's a Ying in play. Look at that. Fultz is just in right now, but SSG are finding nothing for it. All the utility used for nothing. It's a bit anticlimactic. But Yeti continues. Breaks 10 kills. 11? Almost. Gasher taking a ton of damage. Cannot outduel him. Bolo on the stairs takes down Yeti. 10's all he's going to get for now. Bolo repositions towards the Bolo shield. Over by stock and trading. Fultz was the real difference maker, I felt, on that top floor, but he couldn't find a single kill when he tried to Gara hook his way up, so instead it was go through the main floor. SSG now being very patient after their lineup screamed, let's get into the bomb site. They failed to do that. They lost their hyper carry. And now they'll try yet again, but it's Bolo still doing Bolo things. Goodbye to Rampy. Rampy was crouch walking his way through the lobby as Finka. That's not where you want to be. Tough nut to crack. Staff area. Candela's go in. Gasher, Blair Witching in the corner. Blinded for only a second. Outduels Bosco. Finish him off. It's hot and cold with 1 kill. He's got a lot of bullets. Oh, and he's going to keep going. He doesn't need to reload. He's still got 40 left. Where are they? Where's Bolo? Where's Snake? Hot and cold with diffuser in hand. He's had some huge clutches in this part of the map before. Oh, well, lightning strike twice. Different opponents. He gets a ping on one. Lined up, and he knew exactly where he was, but Snake wins the engagement. TSM are manhandling Space Station. It's 4-1.
It's a great start for Spacestation getting into the building, but they really stalled out in the worst position possible. They were in that pinch where there are members of TSM above them, to their left, to their right, as well as in front of them. The only thing that wasn't really exposed was the flank from lobby, but if you stall out in a pinched position, you will naturally just slowly get choked out, and that's what we saw there. Bolo swinging main stairs achieved on that vertical, on the secondary pistol of Alibi up above. And then eventually when they walk towards the bomb site, well, they just have even more things to worry about. It's a nice clutch attempt for Hot and Cold, and he almost had it. I really wish he had stuck the diffuser there in hindsight to see what that post-plant 1v2 could have looked like, because his smoke grenade was about to fade and disappear, and that removes the option for him to really plant. So it was really a one option only to go. He didn't choose to opt for it. TSM looking mighty good in their bank so far. Final defensive round for them. Unless, of course, we enter overtime later on with a Space Station comeback. The thing about TSM is that they're essentially doing the same defending strategy on the bombs that they're defending twice. Basement, they aggressively roamed with the Yokai both rounds. SSG tried to play around it with that flank in the Mirage. They got the Echo kill. Round did not work out for them. Second time TSM defends the open area, they defended in a similar fashion. Once again, SSG, they changed their attacking strategy, and yet again, they do not find success on the adaptation. So Space Station, they need to try and find something that works, because TSM, well, even if they don't win the opening kill, they'll win the late and middle half of the round. You see, they gotta be more consistent throughout all 3 stages. It's a slow stage 1 so far, but they're entering towards the lobby side. Munty from Hot and Cold could be the main pushing force here towards the lobby side.
Looking at TSM's attacking ban of Nook, I don't think it's completely defanged Space Station, so we can't point to the operator bans as the culprit for why Space Station is stuck in the mud with these attacks. Poor drone work really was the story of the first 2 rounds, allowing TSM to just flank you, have their way with you in the back part of the map without anybody watching.
Yeah, get out of there. You don't want to stick around with the line of the Munty.
You got a Monty breathing down your neck. You definitely don't want to engage. Space Station getting into place. A bit behind the curve, though. They wanted to catch that relocating snake, but no. Look at this. Achieved with a jump out, and he gets it done. Run to the hills. Get back in if you can. Yeti has the refrag. It comes a little bit late. It's 11 kills for Yeti, half the round to go.
Yeah, we're still roaming to the top floor here. Remember, it's a Teller's Archives bomb site, so once Space Station gets a hold of the top floor, the round gets a lot easier for them. Yeti with 2 on the round.
Could more be found here? Fultz in pursuit. Fultz and Rampy, right now, combining for just a single kill. Almost every single measure, nowhere near good enough for Space Station. Thank goodness for Yeti. We highlighted his stats before we got into the matchup, how good he's been. Leading the way in most offensive categories. It's exactly on this role what you want from him. And he's still playing operators that shouldn't be the tip of Space Station's spear, yet tends to be the sharpest of them all. The rest for this matchup currently dulled. TSM hear the warning bells as SSG inches ever closer. They decide maybe we should relocate. That was Bolo who went down to the bottom floor. Yeti still hunting from above. He and Merc in a collision course, and Merc tries to draw him out.
So well.
It's basically the equivalent of the bull kicking up the dirt before it charges. Merc taunting him. 20 seconds. Time just flying by. Yeti gets Bolo on the flank. Now he'll drop. Merc has looked elsewhere. They can't cover open area. Down goes Gasher. Merc will need to do something, and the Monty's rushing in. Hot and Cold with the pistol out. Gets it done. The first half in the books. TSM absolutely needed that round to stay with it, or else TSM would have broken it open 5-1.
He's still clapping. He's still going. Yeti is in great spirits despite being down 2-4 in round gun. That's what I was talking about earlier, is that it just seems like if you have Yeti on your squad, it doesn't matter if the score is 0-6, you still have a way in this match, in the mental game of side of things at least. We saw Hot and Cold with a drop shot, hip fire, pistol, Munty kill at the end in the final kill cam. Beautiful stuff. See that in APAC from time to time again. Cyclops are known for their Munty play, and Hot and Cold took a page out of their book. Used their trick in the NAL.
The question that was asked is who is more likely to beat the Europeans at the major. It just says beat Europeans at the major. It doesn't say the Europeans, it just beat Europeans. As if like Yeti's gonna go there himself and just start kicking ass. Just an all-you-can-eat brawl. Who is it? Who do you think? Is it TSM or is it Space Station?
Wow.
TSM fans showing up big. And I mean, they have every reason to believe that. TSM 6-2 so far. Both losses coming in regulation, but they have 6 wins in regulation. So they haven't dropped any points in the matches that they've won, which is, you know.
They also haven't gained any points in the matches that they lost.
True. They lost 7-4 to Astralis and 7-4 to XSET, the 2 teams with red in their logos, funny enough. They beat Parabellum, though, of course.
Also, both teams didn't make a roster change.
Also true.
Also, yeah. Only 2 teams, in fact, that didn't in the NAL.
Not particularly close matches. 7-4 is not considered a close score by Rainbow Six standards. 7-5 is where you start to get into that close territory, and then obviously you have to go into overtime past that. If you look at Bank, the map, prior to today, it had been played 3 times in the North American League, and it is defender-sided. 59% of all rounds played here on Bank went in favor of the defenders, with the bottom floor bomb site of Lockers CCTV leading the way. 70% of the times that bomb site was played, it was won by the defenders. Same with open area, very, very close, 67%. So both of these are strongholds for the D. Things fall off a cliff after that. CEO, the bomb site upstairs, which TSM did not play, won 40% by the defenders. And then Teller's Archives, 33% by the defenders. And would you look at that cycle in the very first half, SSG on attack won both Teller's bomb sites. So lining up perfectly with what we see out of the stats here. Achieved, gunned down by Hot and Cold. He's trying to make some noise upstairs in staff area. Could not be done, and TSM suffers the first casualty.
Really caught in a bad timing, a bad swing there from Achieved, and he's had a decent game so far, but sledging this round was quite needed. The only explosive economy is in his pockets, 2 frag grenades. They're now gone from the table of option of use. No hammer, no verticality, not the biggest loss here on the basement bomb side of all things, but you are of course losing a full gun at your disposal as well. You got flank from mainstairs, you got to deal with servers or drop a hatch. You really want as much manpower as possible for this attacking round, and TSM now, they have to make a conscious choice. Do you go for the backside server take, or do you go for a frontal hatch drop? Neither outcome right now, with 45 seconds to go, is a lucrative option. It's gonna be messy. They gotta win their gunfights. They gotta somehow find a way into this bomb site.
40 seconds left with 2 toxic canisters in his back pocket. Bosco can blanket most of these hatches. We'll just have to wait for TSM to arrive, though, as they're the ones who have the objective in hand. Gasher will be the one to escort the diffuser in. Just saw one. Oh, and he follows up, but he cannot outduel Yeti at all. Nice play from the Warden. Now it's Bosco to smoke off some more. Gets dropped on. TSM finds 2 kills their own. Bosco and Rampy in the grave. Yeti follows. Fultz and Hot and Cold are the last 2 standing for Space Station, but they've narrowed the numbers down to just Gasher. He's in the bomb site with the diffuser in the midst of the smoke. It's a long time to get the plant down, and it looks like they might permit him until Hot and Cold denies it. SSG take their very first defense. And again, vibes are high for Xander.
That they are. And TSM losing that initial member of Achieved, it might have made the round a little bit more difficult, as I mentioned, because they didn't have that final man count to help. I mean, if Merc wins his initial gunfight, followed by Gasher and Bolo's entries, that round could also have gone differently. But being in a 5v5 there could be exactly the difference maker for TSM. But fortunately for Space Station, they did end up getting that opening kill, and they do end up winning that round as well. And now with them going top of the CEO, we will have seen all 4 bomb sites in play. And as you mentioned, way back during the operator ban phase, Parker, Asami is now starting to get played more. TSM didn't really opt for this operator particularly on this map. SSG now 2 rounds in a row, both on basement and CEO. They've brought it. Rambi himself, who's on the Asami, is still looking for his first kill and get activated on this round. And for this round in particular, he's bringing a very important operator regardless of his score line, because the utility that Asami brings, both the barbed wire for the staircases, the keeper barriers for lines of sight to help teammates stay alive, are crucial to help alleviate any troubles that might come their way.
The same shield setup that we saw by this stock janitor portion of the map.
The Bolo
upstairs.
shield,
The Bolo shield. Well, it's a Bolo spot. The first time that we really got a good glimpse of it in North America, if I recall, was when Bolo was playing off of it.
He also played it so well, which helps us like remember that, right?
Well, I mean, I want to say that Bolo's played it well. I understand that shield is going to be hard to get rid of. You saw a couple magnets from Fultz get tossed out, but besides that, I mean, you're going to want to focus quite heavily on it. You leave some of the walls soft inside of that stock/trading room. Got an open hatch in janitor now, so you can go for the drop. Lots of ways to get out of dodge. And again, we'll get to see these Kiba barriers in action, as you pointed out, Azami's pick rate slowly raising. Kiba barriers being used inside of CEO, as we've talked about. Create those lines of sight, force them to use explosives to cut through it. Losing the sledge early in the previous round was debilitating, because as you said, those are the only explosives available.
We're starting with the wall here. EMPs are trying to go out so you can deal with them. And the difference is for Thatcher is that the EMP grenades, they're not like impact based. Right? So you gotta bounce them off a surface and then get this this claw off the wall.
I think that might be a bit late.
It's
yes,
close.
it is. And it blows up the claw in the process. It was about a hair off. Yeti, 14 kills through 7 complete rounds. An impressive tally. Utility play fell short from the Kaid that he's on this time. That's okay. He lets his gunplay do the talking. Rampy still searching for a kill. Not the spot that you want a player to be in, especially when Rampy has tweeted quite publicly about the struggles that he's had so far this stage. Be far more damning if you didn't have full Toncold and Yeti there. And Bosco having a great bounce back stage as well. SSG showing off good depth. Usually if Rampy doesn't show up, the SSG of old over the last 2 stages, Nick, would have a lot of struggles, not so much this season because of the roster change and the rejuvenation that it seems to have provided to the roster.
TSM about to look for their first execute here, but that might also be their last. With 35 seconds left to go, Mirror Window staring them down. Nice verticality here, good control from TSM, but the execute will win their first gunfight.
Oh, an answer back from Rampy, who gets his first kill, but that's all he's going to find for it. Bolo asserting himself on main stairs, out-dueled by Houghton. Houghton goes for the jump over, doesn't get it. Snake finishes him off. Folds post up at the back of square stairs. Snake on very limited HP, walked away wounded from that battle with Houghton, but he's got very little left and decides to engage it. Fultz puts him out of his misery. If Achieved can clutch out, they'll continue TSM's lead. Fultz just needs to stop it to tie the game. And we're almost past the point of no return, as Achieved can't find him. 4-4 game between these teams. SSG's now won 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah, timeout really is seemingly doing some work. I mean, the success came way after timeout itself, but as
Though I'm not sure if we're going to see them at all.
TSM, they have brought Sense once or twice. Chalet is to the map where they get brought the most. It's still a very situational operator, if you will, due to the nature of having a essentially what is a smoke barrier with the gadget.
I mean, we go back and forth on what we're going to call it.
Yeah, we do.
To be frank, but
nowadays with the current meta, we do see more flexibility and aggressiveness. You know, if you want to pick an operator that is solely picked for the execute at the late half of the round, well, you might not get there right now. That's the thing, because if the roamers are playing aggressively into you, like we see from both TSM and SSG, that operator is never really going to see being played correctly, because either you're just scrapping things together, you're down a couple of people, or you've already won the round off the roam clear by finding 2 or 3 kills for your team. And it's why we see the Line, the Togepi, the Jackal, you know, soft breach utility, to just try and get these man advantages in throughout the round. Some teams, they opt for more what we call cheese operators, if you will, or gimmicks. You know, one out shot like an Amaru Rush, or a Blitz, or a Munty, you know, individual rounds you can win off the back of a single operator. But Merc, he finds something called a Yeti. That is a big shutdown for TSM.
TSM being quick to punch on a couple of these rounds, and it obviously works out so well in their favor. Their offense sputtering a little bit, as again, it's 3 rounds in a row for SSG. Rampy only got a single kill in that previous round. That's all he was able to get. He misses an opportunity to do some more. Merc's gonna charge up, and he gets baited right in. Hot and Cold and Rampy collide with Merc and Achieved. TSM suffers a loss of 2. They burned a logic bomb in the process to try and aid their teammates. Weren't able to accomplish much with it. I like the gambit, I like the choice, just comes up a little bit short. Also, worth noting, Yeti was the first domino to fall for SSG. It's been a pretty big domino, to be honest. He hasn't been able to find a kill in the last 2 rounds.
Still got 14 to his name yet. Gash with a single bullet.
Ridiculous, by the way.
Will give away his position.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. Santa's had a great stage so far. I'm also very happy to see both of these teams, despite, you know, regardless of the outcome, both going to the major. I think the fans too are happy to see TSM back at international events since Invite, actually. It's the last time that they were showing up. Snake with a nice intro into Hot and Cold, gets some map control with TSM. However, this is that pinched position. This is not where you want to be stuck in. Bolo will hack the cameras and gain a bit of information as to where SSG might be playing, but they're not really opting for any information operators. No Maestro on the board, no Echo, so no real value being had here besides the default cameras, not even a bulletproof camera.
Talk a little bit about how their performance at the upcoming Swedish major, the other Jönköping major, Jönköping, will impact the SI standings, because neither of these teams are in a very healthy spot to make it to the 6 Invitational, despite them both being former champions.
I got you!
Scouting for where the offsite players may be as you get to the final moments of this fateful round. One of these teams will take the lead. Space Station looking to take their very first lead of the match in what would be their 4th round in a row. They just need to patiently await these TSM players. Bosco gets slaughtered by Snake. Bolo joins as well. It's a quick one. TSM ends it before it even gets started and deny SSG a lead. TSM takes it right back. They let SSG have it for a little bit. They let them have the ball and run around with it. But at the end of the day, it goes back to its rightful owners, as TSM now have their 5th round and are 2 away from putting this one in the books.
Upcoming round could be a massive one because SSG are most likely going to go back to that basement bomb site being the most defender-sided one. So it makes sense statistically to go to that bomb site. And TSM now, they can take it to match point for them, or Spacestation will tie it back up to a 5-5 round count. Last time TSM, they were not successful. They went for that backside hatch drop. They lost achieved early in the round. They played the entirety of that round 4 versus 5. And it still came down to a 1v2, so very, very close. Now, operator-wise, let's see if there's any attacker repicks coming out. Only a single Heartbreach currently. Ossa from Snake being hovered and considered. That usually signifies either taking Garage to get that long outside on the ramp with a shield, or it signifies going to servers and trying to opt for a plant instead on the A bomb side. And with only a single Heartbreacher on the board for TSM, that is the Thermite, well, you're not really going to be working off hatches because that is not what that operator is good for. That's why we're going to see Snake on the Ossa, heading towards that server tunnel.
A completely different lineup from what Space Station brought when attacking this bomb site. SSG brought Hibana, Thermite, and Ace when dealing with this Locker's CCTV defense. Tons of hard destruction at your disposal. We did an interview ages ago with Slash when he said you don't ever want to leave both main hard breachers up. This was back when it was Hibana and Thermite, with Maverick as the complementary hard breacher. And Hibana was almost always a permaban for teams, if not the odd Thermite ban, because A, there were no secondary hard breach gadgets, and there was no ace on the board. Trying to defend this bomb site with multiple hard breachers open was an absolute nightmare. Not really the meta that we're in right now. Teams can just stack up, end up stacked to the gills with these hard breach gadgets, whether it be the actual operator or not. I'm a bit surprised to see TSM only bring the Thermite.
Yep, you have so many options and flexibility now with the secondary can openers. Of course, right now TSM, on their attacking side, they might just be wanting too many different things. Right, soft breach, the gimmick operator of the Ossa, smoke units and Dokubi in the roam clear of the phone call. And if you're stretching so thin, being good at every single scenario, well, you're not really going to excel anywhere specifically. So TSM, they will need an opening kill. They need to find ground here and take it from them, because forcing server against Bosco on the smoke is going to cost you either A lot of time, because 3 toxic waves have been spent essentially, but also you got the deployable shield staring you down on the entry. It's difficult to deal with. Bosco sees a bit of damage inside the servers. He's under fire.
Oh my.
It's close.
They'll continue to try to fire away at him, but a single shotgun blast is enough to fell just about anybody in that position. Just trying to bide time. He's a bit too slow to unsheath the shotgun. Down he goes to Snake. TSM marches in. Folt still on the stairs, droned out. B-heads achieved. The pivot towards the bottom of those stairs. Bolo now on to the engagement with Hot and Cold wins it. He can easily drop the hatch. SSG on the back foot. TSM look like match point is theirs. You got the diffuser going down. Maybe Yeti to the rescue. His first kill in 3 rounds. It comes on to Merc. But now you have to work against the clock. Volt still from above. They'll hear him drop. That 3 armor making so much noise from above. They also have Snake in position. Down goes Gasher. They didn't know that he was still up there. And now there's a smoke to cut off across if they drop. Yeti's on the diffuser right now. Do they know this? Fultz goes in. Yeti might be able to steal it away unless Snake can stop him at the last second, and he does. It's an all-out brawl with Fultz doing some serious work. It's Bolo above to save the round for his team. Explosion goes off. Fultz on the case. Bolo knows it. He's got the dirty dozen, and he'll break lucky number 13 with that kill. Match point, TSM.
What a chaotic round. And I mean, Gasher was throwing out that smoke grenade. At the same second he got shot in the head, it drops to the ground and it covers the diffuser case, and Snake realizes that his post-plant position, it actually wasn't as good as he thought it would be. And to add insult to injury, Bolo was up above instead of Archives looking for that final roamer, but there was no rotate between the Archives wall and the A hatch, so Bolo had to run all the way around. That's why Bolo wasn't there to help Snake in that 1 versus 2, but because Snake got that injure and got that kill onto Yeti, that bought enough time for Bolo to rotate to the hatch and get into the 1 versus 1, where he will find his round for his team. That puts TSM on 6-4 match point, and SSG, they're gonna go up above, back to that CEO bomb site. They're gonna bring the Mira and they're gonna bring the Warden, and Mira is a bit of an optional operator for this bomb site. I will say I think it's a very strong one, but the Warden is a must pick. Otherwise, a single smoke grenade, a Ying, Candelas, flashbangs, etc. will just blindside you on the bomb side, and it really opens up the possibility for attackers to plant very easily and just play off that window repel once the diffuser is posted down. So I like this setup. The same one we saw the last time SSG defended, and last time they were here, they were in fact successful on that defense. TSM attacked from lobby primarily. They got picked off guard. Didn't really find the picks. Didn't really work the windows that much either. They were struggling with those EMPs, if you recall. Bolo has opted for Twitch instead. Those Twitch drones now have an infinite range on the drone, which means if there is a jammer or a kite or any wall deny, you can easily take care of it. But there's none from SSG this time around.
Fateful round for Space Station. Both teams sit with a similar scoreline in the standings, despite the fact that TSM did enter the day with 2 points more than Space Station had. If this went to overtime and Space Station won, it would not be enough to catch up to TSM. Space Station needed to win outright in order to surpass TSM in the standings. That will not happen. So irrespective of what occurs in this matchup, it'll be SSG finishing second. I mean, obviously, it would have to come down to round differentials there, I guess, in the head-to-head. But if SSG wins in overtime, they finish at 18 points. TSM still picks up 1 point, finishes at 19, so there will be no tie. TSM will finish first in the North American League. Now they sit on match point. That must be an awfully nice feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the standings account for the prize pool that we see for the regular stages. Additionally, SI points. And then it also helps in the draw for the groups.
Oh yeah, I mean the groups thing is the biggest thing. Like seeding is what teams care the most for, because the major is what it's about.
Well, SSG, they start off this round quite strong. Even if their ultimate goal of finishing first in the North American League is now out of reach, they can still play for bragging rights. They lose hot and cold. The F2 in the hands of Bolo. He's one behind Yeti. It's a battle of the Titans, but Snake with 12 kills, Bolo with 14, Yeti with 15. We are seeing individual heroics right now from the players that you expect to be climbing the standings. The smoke goes off, Bolo runs up, Yeti to outduel him, 16 kills for Yeti. More onto the shoulders of TSM as they now trail in terms of man count. Merc will take the next engagement all the way up to the top and loses the duel to Yeti. How is Yeti getting away with these? They knew he was in the elevator. Still couldn't accomplish anything. Achieved and Snake are the last two standing. SSG want to push this one to the very final round, but Snake has something to say about that as he finds two but can't get past Bosco. Achieved only to find two of his own to put this one away. Is it possible?
15 seconds remaining.
Clock working against him. SSG standing pat, and it's a crossfire from Space Station. It guarantees us all 12 rounds. Overtime, we're 1 round away from it.
Getting close. In TSM, same story both times on that top floor attack. They're caught sprinting into gunfights, essentially on that red stairs from lobby. It was Merc the first round, then that previous round, well, same exact story. We're sprinting up, we take a gunfight, we fall in the midst of it. Bolo this time was the first to fall, Merc followed second. But no trade game here from TSM, no real problem solving of key positions, like for example, if Yeti is inside the elevator, there's a hatch you can work with from below, soft destruction, grenades, flashbang, smoke grenades, so many different options. But instead, they're just kind of rushing through it. Time for the attackers also running really low on some of these rounds, executing the last 30 seconds or so. And Bank is a big map. You gotta take your time to go through the motions, but sometimes you take too much of it, well then you're rushing into decisions toward that later end. Now we're gonna see TSM, for possibly their final time, attacking the basement. Things that have changed up. Yeti's on the Warden, can see through smokes and flashbangs, can play out of server stairs on the side, bomb site itself. Rambi bring that Kaid, trying to deny hatches if they were to try and get breached from TSM side. TSM, they answer back. Snake on the Thatcher. That's going to open up the possibility to counter the Kaid if he gets used. TSM, they do have 2 hot breaches, Thermite and Hibana. This signifies a roam clear strategy for them, but there's no Dokkaebi, there's no Jackal. So if SSG were to roam, which it's just Yeti right now in open area, that could be a way to shut TSM down. They don't really have the tools to deal with it. Space Station, they also understand the bomb set is strong. They got 3 C4s, 3 Toxic Babes. They got Goyo Vulcan shields. They have so much plant deny. If Yeti can just buy a minute off the clock with this roam inside of open area, that might just be enough for them to burn down the time of a TSM.
Well,
It's a quiet one.
above, very quiet round. Not as much on the line as there was 2 rounds ago. SSG cannot finish first in North America. So this is just simply for posterity. TSM will gain a single point, go to 19 points. That puts SSG out of reach, just like Fultz thought he might have been out of reach of the nade that Merc drops right into his lap.
Yeti fell back to bomb set as well.
Yeti's escaped back downstairs. Snake on the hunt. That's it for Yeti. 15 kills for Snake. Bosco sends him into the dirt with a single blast from the shotgun. Nice back and forth. And an excellently quick entry from TSM after those first 30 seconds went by to confront the Kiba barriers that are up. And now's the time that you want to start getting this hard destruction down. Put pressure on the defenders by removing those hatches and make SSG guess as to where you're going to drop from.
Snake had a lot of fun with those openings and just stormed down the main stairs. The thing is, Thatcher being off the board might not be the end of the world. I don't believe the kite calls have had any effect so far in the round, so that might be a done deal. But still, now TSM are taking their time and slowing things down because they don't want to throw this lead.
Oh my, no, you see
Free.
That's a freebie for Bolo onto Rampy. Back turn. Terrible game for Rampy so far. Bosco now down as well. It's all on the shoulders of Hot and Cold, who's got a great angle. But Gasher sends SSG home with a loss. And TSM in regulation pick up all 3 points as they win the North American League Stage 3. Woo!
TSM! TSM! TSM!
Why are you chanting? You know